All right, everybody, it is 4 o'clock, so I'm going to call this executive committee to order. First, we have roll call. There's my, Julie, where are my sheets? Everyone is here, with the exception of Member Friedrich, so we do have a quorum. I'm sorry? Nothing? Hi, Corey. Moving on, item number 2, consent agenda. Can I get a motion? Motion by Fagan, second by Hanson. Sorry, Hanson. It has been a Monday. Any comments or questions regarding the minutes or the payment of bills and transfers? Seeing none, all in favor of item 2, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Moving on to item number 3, appearances by member of the public or the public or county employees. Did we have any sign up?
Chair Johnston, we've had no requests this evening.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to item number 4. Provided there are no objections, I'd like to move items 4A and 4B together, which is appointments and reappointments. Under appointments with the Hudson Fire District, we have Abby Michaels, and the Regional Planning Commission is Bruce Tompkins. And under reappointments, the Hudson Fire Protection District also reappoint Mark Burton. May I get a motion? Motion by Byrne. May I get a second? By Fagan. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor of item 4A and B, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Moving on to item number 5, Executive Committee. 5A1A is request approval of a resolution of the McLean County Board appointing the chair of the McLean County Board to a committee responsible for filling the vacancy in the Office of Regional Superintendent of Schools, number 17. May I have a motion? Motion by Rogal, second by Klein. Any comments or questions? As a vacancy, we have 60 days to fill, so this will help us get to that as quickly as possible. And we will be moving forward with that nominee, I believe, in April. All right, seeing no other comments, all in favor of item 5A1A, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Next item, 5A1B, request approval of a resolution of the McLean County Board to amend the intergovernmental revenue sharing agreement. May I have a motion? Motion by Hanson. May I have a second? Second by Lehman. Comments or questions? Member Byrne.
Question regarding the 3-month pause language. Am I correct in understanding that those 3 months payments will not be tacked on to the end of the agreement? Is that correct?
That is correct. This is a suspension.
Thank you.
Yes, Member Lehman.
Thank you very much. And do I understand correctly in the agreement that at the end of said 3-month pause, if either municipality fails to pick up, that is out of contract or out of agreement?
If they do not resume payments per the schedule as outlined, it would be considered a breach of contract.
Okay. And we're comfortable that that language is very clear and it's fully understood by all parties that is in fact an important part of the contract?
Mr. Rude, would you like to give any clarification?
Well, I can't speak to what other parties understand, as we've simply just shared it with them at this point. But yes, at the end of the 3 months of April, May, June, payments resume as per the underlying agreement. And if they don't resume, then all payments that would have been due in April, May, and June but for this amendment would also become immediately due.
Amazing. Thank you very much.
Any other comments or questions? Yes, Vice Chair Rogal.
And there'd been some discussion, do both town and city need to pass this as well for it to go into place?
Per the IGA, any amendment to the IGA has to be approved by all three bodies. So they would need to approve this language for it to be into effect. Otherwise, there's no amendment.
Thanks. I know there was some disagreement on that, but I agree with you, so.
Okay. Yes, Member Hanson.
And then what would the timeline for them agreeing or not agreeing be? When would this hit their meetings?
I think that's up to their staff as to when it comes to the meetings, but as long as they can approve it before the April payment is due, which I believe comes at the end of the month. So they have sufficient time over
Okay.
the next 5 to 6 weeks to get that passed so that it can go into effect.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Member Byrne?
Am I permitted to ask a question to staff members? Ms. Landreth, sorry to put you on the spot. Do we anticipate any programs or funds or any initiatives at all within the BHCC that might be delayed or otherwise affected by such a pause?
No, we would not anticipate any kind of effect to anything happening this year.
Okay, thank you.
Any further question or discussions? All right, seeing none, all in favor of item 5A1B, say aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. All right, moving on to 5A2A. This is the Information Technologies Department with Mr. Nelson. This is a request of the amendment number 1 to services agreement between McLean County and the Sanborn Map Company Incorporated. May I get a motion? Motion by Byrne, second by Vice Chair Rogel. And I will turn it over to Mr. Nelson.
Thank you. Yeah, this amendment, as I noted in my memo, it's really the result of the Scrivener's error during contract revisions. As the refinements that were requested by the county with the assistance of county legal were made on their end. When it came back, they'd made those adjustments, but we didn't realize that other parts had gotten dropped back out. And so this is incorporating that back in. Fortunately, the proposal was approved with the full amount when the RFP was approved. So there is no financial impact to this amendment. It's just a matter of getting it back into the contract for the work to be done.
Excellent. Any comments or questions for Mr. Nelson? Seeing none, all in favor of item 5A2A, say aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. So now we'll move on to items to be presented for information, 5A2B, and I will turn those over to Mr. Nelson for the ERP, accessibility, and general monthly report.
Yeah, so with ERP, of course, the big news is we are live with the finance component. That kicked off on February 17th. We had the standard ripples that you have when you have a big project go live in conversion. But overall, as soon as we got live, invoices started getting entered and approved and flowing through the system, and we're getting payments back out to those to whom we need to get payments out to. The freeze is over. So that's good news. We still have a few things we're working on, especially those invoices that are coded to, a dozen or better departments. We're still kind of refining. It didn't work exactly the way that we had designed, planned, and tested. So we have a few things in that case that we're taking care of. But overall, and I would also be willing to cede time to Mr. Grant or Cassie or Kathy if they want to chime in. They've all been key players in getting the finance system live. But the training, I thought, was provided by members of administration, as well as HR, as well as IT. And it was done very thoroughly, and I thought it was very well done. And step sheets were put together. There's a lot of resources out there, but it is also a lot of change. So a lot of new accountability and just ways of doing things, even questions from my staff today regarding travel reimbursements, things like that we anticipated. But I'm open to taking any questions you have.
Any questions from the committee? This would just be on B1 right now.
Okay.
Yes, Member Lane.
Yeah, Thank you very much. So I did have questions on some of the the items that are assigned to the Office of the Auditor. Is now an okay time to answer those, or did you want questions all at the end?
Oh, no, it's fine.
Okay.
We can discuss
Fabulous.
at your convenience.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I noticed some of these, we've got 3 of them that are identified as past due. And I was curious, I know packets come out, however many days in advance. Have we had any movement since the packet was published on these particular items? And what is our plan of communication and to make sure that these can be signed off on, sealed, delivered, feel good about?
Yeah, unfortunately, I can't answer your first question very well. I was actually out ill at the end of last week myself, so I haven't had time to get with our project manager on this today to actually get circled back in since the packet went out. So I don't know the answer to that. We have regular biweekly check-in meetings that cover both HR and finance now. The auditor is always invited to attend those meetings as we were during development. So that would probably be the most efficient and effective way to coordinate with us, but, whether she'll avail herself of that or not, I don't know.
Might I ask a follow-up?
Yes.
If I could ask if administration or whoever else might be most appropriate to answer. So it looks like some of them, we've got due dates of end of November, end of December, and then most recently with February. When was the last time that the auditor was present on one of the calls? And do we have communications that have gone to her more recently about these particular action items? I'd like to be able to celebrate that this project has a nice period at the end of it.
I can't answer the question of what call she was on, but I will say there has been email traffic back and forth on reports between Sanford Hess, our consultant, and the auditor, as well as the other financial office and administration to work on reports. I have seen those emails.
Okay, great.
Yeah, Ms. Taylor's reflection pretty much is the same as mine. So, well, I don't think we've seen her in our check-in meetings, the cohort meetings, if you will. I am aware that there have been direct communications and actions taking place between her and our project manager and others in the organization, so.
Okay, great. So it sounds like perhaps not finished, but movement is happening. And I hope said movement can continue to happen because it looks like we've got some other important action items coming up this month that look forward to hearing in April that those are completed, and maybe this page can go away from the report.
I would be happy to have that happen as well.
Any other questions from the committee? I know that any transition can be difficult, fraught with challenges. I do know that in finance that our treasurer has been able to navigate and find the reports that she needed. So that gives me a lot of hope that we'll be able to figure out what that pathway is and create maybe a cheat sheet for that one for people. At this point, my question is, how much time as far as needing support is going to be spent with IT versus how much more time do we have with Sanford to continue being a support service as we're making the transition?
I would need to check his contract to see when that goes out. I don't know the answer to that, but our HR component doesn't go live until this summer, and I believe he's with us through that, through at least July. So I actually had that same conversation with Ms. Taylor at our last check-in last week, and I said I need to verify that date. But he has proved to be a remarkable value in this project. He has been an excellent resource for us from start to finish.
Good, thank you. Okay, any other questions from the committee? So we can move on to your accessibility report.
Yeah, Dan, would you like to
Dan.
come up? Thank you, Matt. Yeah. I can steal his thunder and just say we're sitting in a very good spot right now.
Sure.
But what he wouldn't tell you is that it's largely due to his efforts.
I think we're all aware that Dan's been on top of this.
Yeah, so I actually don't have anything in particular to highlight this month. Things are moving in a really good direction still. We're confident that we're on top of this. I think 2 months ago, you had asked about the alternative text on images. We did find that decorative images, which have null alt text applied to them, oh, thank you. They have null alt text applied to them, which allows them to be ignored by assistive technology. One of our reporting tools was marking those as not having alt text. So we resolved that, and I think that added about 6% to that SEO score. So yeah, really fantastic, but not anything in particular to highlight. I will say, Mark Sanger here and Samantha Harrell are both on our ADA work group, so just want to give them a shout out since they're here. They're amazing to work with. But yeah, that's really all I have today. I'm happy to answer questions if you have any.
Any questions from the committee? All right, well, we appreciate the work. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
It would be my hope to maybe report on this for 2 or 3 months past the deadline and then probably phase this out of the monthly report unless a particular issue arises.
Okay. All right. And then general monthly report, you've also been busy doing all your other IT work.
Yeah, what other work? Yeah, so we do remain focused on the criminal justice conversion project. We are moving the go-live date for the jail. That had been scheduled for next weekend. We think all the pieces will be in place, but we're not going to have them in place long enough to feel comfortable with our QA and double checking of reports and things of that nature. I don't have a new date for you yet. I'm working on that with the project managers from ATEMS, which is the jail management system vendor. It's likely going to be in the neighborhood of June. This past week, we did significant work with our courts management system vendor, JTI. Their program manager who oversees the 4 projects came on site along with Mission Critical Partners, MCP, and we met in person with every group of stakeholders, the courts, the circuit clerk, defender, state's attorney, and probation, and had very productive meetings with all of those, and got movement in the areas where we needed to get movement, and each one of those offices expressed newfound optimism in where we are at and in the project and the timing. So that's encouraging because we needed a little bit of that wind in our sails.
So once the JMS goes live, it will be integrated with the current RMS Caliber system and easier
Yes.
to access?
Yeah, it gets to be a pretty complicated system because we still actually have the courts in Aegis.
Right.
So information has to move between the new JMS, jail management system, as well as the new online RMS, as well as Aegis.
Right,
So, yeah.
okay. We're getting there. Other questions from the committee? Member Klein?
We're in the general questions category, right?
Yes.
Okay. I have 2 very, very different questions, different topics entirely. I'll start with the easier one. So I just wanted to check about the status of the text alert system. I heard you all talking before the meeting. We are right in the pathway of a terrible tornado possible storm for tomorrow evening. Do we have that up and running? Is that something that the sheriff's office would be able to use and emergency management would be able to use if we needed it?
I can answer one part, and then I'll defer to Matt, who is the point person for IT on that topic. We've had up for a couple of months now the ability to notify everybody instantly. And I know what we've been refining are the segmented groups. And that is about the boundary of my knowledge in that space because of the other projects. So, Matt?
Wrong button. Yeah, it is fully live. We had our project closeout call with them last week. Let's go with last week. The time just is running together. So we have the ability to push out, like Craig said, alerts to anybody in the area, draw little boxes on the map, and EMA can push out those alerts both through the platform itself and through IPAWS, the federal cell tower-based alerting.
Genuinely hope we don't need it tomorrow night, but all of the departments know how to do it. We haven't actually used it, right? I mean, it's ready, but we haven't actually had to use
So
it.
different departments know how to do their pieces. The broader emergency alert like that is EMA specific. So yes, it's Kathy Beck. She was on that closeout call, making sure that we could do that. And there's backups to the systems too. And then there is more work going forward as we customize the platform to allow us to do that more granular internal reporting that it can do.
And she has sent out some of the informational, like tornado testing messages using that system, that type of thing.
I have not received one. This is part of the reason
That-
why I
It
asked.
may not have been part of the everyone.
Oh, Mike. Mike?
That may not have been part of the everyone group for that system, but I know it's been tested to certain segments.
I have a very different question now. Later in this meeting, we're going to be talking about budget issues. And in the Finance Committee this past week, the auditor made mention of the fact that IT had stopped sending out, I guess,
It's monthly reports.
monthly or interim reports about budgetary progress or whatever. And I just wanted to give you a chance to respond to that, because you weren't in the room at that time, about how that happened or what didn't happen, just if you have a response.
Yeah, so I didn't view that footage, so I am aware that the automated sending from the system of monthly budget performance reports quit working along the way. I'm not sure why that was. Every department head does have the ability to go in and run that ad hoc at any time they want, which I've done regularly. So I wasn't inconvenienced by that. It did at some point get that the vendor system, it originated so that the auditor could maintain the list and the timing. And then at some point, the vendor made a change. And if I recall right, at that point, it moved it into, we had to get in under the hood to set things back up to do that. And so I could say that we may not have, it's not going out, so whatever was necessary there, we did not do that. We have not gotten it up to where monthly budget performance reports are automatically emailing out to department heads.
So during the transition, at some point it ceased. Did you receive comments from other, that particular discussion was about the county clerk's office, but we have lots of, divisions in the county that would have been receiving those. Did anybody reach out and say, hey, this isn't coming as it once was? Or it just sort of happened and was.
I'm not aware of any emails to me or help desk tickets that had a request of that nature. Now, typically, a lot of people don't get too closely. I'm thinking this as an observation of my own is that most departments may not be closely monitoring their budget till they get to that final quarter, coming down if business is as usual for the first 9 months of the year. So I don't know what else I could add to that, but I'm not aware of anyone reaching out and prodding on that particular issue.
No, that's helpful information. As we try to not just implement the new system, but also kind of talk generally about fiscal policies, it's good to know that people aren't checking where they are necessarily. Maybe they are. I don't know if you can track whether those sorts of reports are being pulled, but at least it says something to me that if they had been accustomed to receiving them monthly and then said nothing when they sort of stopped arriving monthly, that there's no internal process in the departments that is relying on the arrival of that report. Because otherwise you would have heard from them saying, we need this for our steps that we run internally. So this is helpful. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I would say that it was never a dependency for the next step in a process to happen. The other thing is I can't validate that those departments still were not checking because you can pull that information up electronically without the report at any time and go check in against your general ledger on any budget line at any time. And only if you're really, I'm speaking for me as how I look at it, only if I'm really looking at my total overall budget, coming down the home stretch of the fiscal year, do I typically start running those and trying to make sure I land the plane where I want to land it. But, otherwise typically it's like, okay, we have a major purchase coming up. I need to go back in there and make sure that we are where we think we are, that type of a thing. But that's also available just as a visual query and look up on any budget line. And you don't have to run the report to get that information.
Any other comments or questions? I guess my only comment would be, if this is something that went to the department heads prior to now, is it something that would be available to be sent to the oversight committees?
Certainly, yeah, budget performance report can be. Now, we have not implemented the budget component of finance yet.
Correct.
So we're doing the invoices and everything, and there are, in the new system, there are additional checks and balances against being able to overspend on your budget at that level. So you'll get a flag in your face if you're trying to, go past what's out there. But I can check with the person who is in charge of that project for my department and see what it takes to get generated, monthly budget reports generated again. And if we can't include administration or whoever would route that to the finance committee then. So,
Thank you. All right, any other questions for Mr. Nelson? Seeing none, we will move on to item 5A3, the Behavioral Health Coordination Department with Ms. Landreth. We have no items for action, but we do have 3 items for information. So I'll turn that over to you.
Sure. So I have several reports for your perusal this month. We've got our full year report from 2025. Some highlights from that, as we have had a very busy year, is the department hired 3 different staff members, a counselor and an LPN for the FUSE program, and a grants program manager. Part of the reason that we hired that counselor is because we continue to see a lot of growth in the FUSE program. We started 29 new clients this year, and there's information in the report that shows that growth over the last couple of years. Typically, we were seeing 5 to 10 new clients a year. Last year, we saw 17 new clients, and this year we saw that 29. So we've definitely been staying busy. We're getting close, I think, to a total, as of this report from 2025, the FUSE program has served a total of 80 clients to date, and that number is still going up. FUSE program remains busy, which is really exciting. The System of Care grant also got a lot done this year. They hosted a half-day summit focused on youth and family issues, which was really exciting. They completed a strategic plan that really focused on looking forward at sustainability, which is very important. And they worked with the All Our Kids Network program through the health department to begin to utilize what's called IRIS, which is an integrated referral information system, to start getting different organizations on board so that we can start utilizing a shared referral network that will give us a lot of great data and hopefully help to improve referral processes for services for families throughout the system. The other thing that is exciting that we finally got up going with the System of Care grant is we finally got the intensive home-based services program started up through the Baby Fold. So families can have someone come to their home to get a much better sense of what's actually going on. They don't have to go to an appointment to another place. They don't have to worry about transportation. They come straight to them, which is really exciting. And we had several events, 18 events throughout the year that reached at least over 800 people total in the community, including 322 people who attended the Behavioral Health Forum, 100 people who got training in EMDR and DBT, 102 different people who got training in dialectic behavioral therapy, which is very exciting. And BHCC completed the revision of the Behavioral Health Action Plan, as well as got a website up as well, which has been really exciting to be able to host, give a more a creative way. We're working on being able to show the Behavioral Health Action Plan and start tracking progress live more or less on that website. So we're really excited to get that platform done. And if, on top of all of that, we also got out our RFP related to shelter. So Home Sweet Homes The Bridge project was able to get started. We had a really exciting marketing campaign to get information about 988 out and other crisis services in the community. And we got our first version of the Emerging Needs Grant so that organizations that unexpectedly lost funding and were going to not be able to provide services in our community that were not duplicated anywhere else, were able to get money to keep the wheels on the bus while they figure out what next steps to do. So it's been a heck of a year, for sure.
Thank you. Comments or questions from the committee? Yes, Member Byrne.
Ms. Landreth, obviously it goes without saying that that's a huge list of successes, and just wanted to call out just number one, how awesome that is and how much work you and your team have done to bring such a breadth of mental health services to our community, but the need that it fulfills too. The need is rising, as I'm sure you're aware, but we are rising to meet that, and we're doing a fabulous job with that. So thank you very much for that. Those are wonderful numbers to hear. Kudos to you and your staff. Thank you.
Other comments or questions? I mean, a lot of the things that you have done and you have worked on, sometimes it's very difficult to measure progress and to measure success. And for me, a lot of what we really want to be focusing on is, are we meeting the community's needs? The Baby Fold project you mentioned, I know that it is not at capacity, so we are still on the lookout for other people that might need it, but that means that we don't have people on the waiting list. And I think the same goes for the Center for Human Services. One of the most difficult referrals I would ever need to make was a child psychiatrist, and we now have another child psychiatrist in the community, not Peoria, not Champaign, not Springfield, but here, and that they are still accepting clients with no wait list. So when we're talking about meeting the community need, and is this program working, we're seeing some of those successes. And now we can turn our attention to what are some other priorities. So I'm very excited about that. And yeah. Was there anything else you wanted to speak on today?
The other, I also included some information about our January, February report. One thing that I can't believe I didn't get a chance to talk about is the System of Care grant was one of the SAMHSA grants that was interrupted in January. We got the notification late at night, and then the program was restarted, I believe less than 48 hours later, maybe something like 36 hours later. While we're very glad that we haven't lost those funds, I will say that working with Kelly Amagoni, who's the project director for that, as well as our other partners within the grant, we worked very quickly to start making plans to switch gears and get things in a more sustainable direction. And I was really proud to have been a part of a team that was going to be able to, we were going to be okay. People were not going to lose services. We were going to figure it out. We were going to do what needed to get done. And while I don't want there to be more interruptions along those lines, it did feel really good to know that we have a team that is ready to take on those challenges and is ready to flex when things happen that are outside of our control. I mentioned the progress tracking for the Behavioral Health Action Plan, which we're very excited to get out. And what I wasn't able to cover in the 2025 report is that I have received more information from Home Sweet Home. One of the goals that we had for our contract was 75% occupancy within a 30-day period of them starting, and they reached that within the first 10 days of starting. They've done a really great job at getting processes together, at learning as they go. It's been a very busy time for them over the last couple of months. They're working on creating a resident advisory board that will help to continue to make sure that the services they're providing are meeting the needs of the people that are utilizing those services. So the program has continued to grow, and we're very glad that we were able to help get that program started up, and we anticipate getting an end of contract report, as it were, when the contract ends in, I believe it's end of June. We'll have additional information about how long people are staying and those kinds of things that we'll be able to share.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Yes, Member Fagan.
Thank you. Just out of curiosity, have they been able to cycle anyone into more permanent housing?
I think by the time the report was done, I don't think there was enough time. They started in like mid-January, and so the report that they gave me was for the end of the year. So I don't think they had any data that they could share with me at the time, but I would anticipate that we would have that information later on down the road.
Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, at the risk of you leaving when your portion is done, I just want to take a moment to say this will be Ms. Landra's last meeting with us. She is going to be moving on and utilizing her nursing degree. She stepped in to some very big shoes and some very interesting times, and has really shepherded us through the process of the rewrite and some really difficult work, some heavy lifting in getting the Behavioral Health Action Plan activated and engaged and getting money back into the community. And I think that she's done that with a lot of grace, a lot of patience, and a lot of dedication. And so I just want to thank you for your time with the county and wish you all the best.
Thank you. I'm very, very grateful for I would not have been able to accomplish everything that our department accomplished without the work of the staff in the department, without our partners, and without the assistance and support and constructive criticism of the board. And all of that goes into making a better McLean County. So I'm very proud of the work that I've been able to accomplish with my department, and feel very confident that good work will continue to happen.
All right, thank you. All right, we'll move on to item 5B, and that is Finance Committee with Finance Chair Laban.
Thank you very much, Chair Johnston. 5B 1A is the request approval of an emergency appropriation ordinance amending the McLean County fiscal year 2025 combined annual appropriation and budget ordinance for the county clerk, and I so move.
Thank you. May I have a second? Second by Rogel. Comments or questions? Member Klein.
Thank you, Chair Johnson. I have a number of questions. What I would just sort of say to my colleagues, if anybody wants to take over halfway through, like if you want me to shut up and you ask your question, just let me know, because I have a number of questions, but I think that those questions are some that others would share. But the first thing is thank you so much to the clerk and her staff for being here this afternoon. And I also want to thank you for responding quickly today as for the request for additional information. The challenge of executive committee being on Monday is that we don't, we have the 2 days prior or the weekend, and so we don't have time to necessarily get everything sorted until Monday morning. So I appreciate that. But before I get started, Madam Clerk, am I allowed, Chairperson Johnson, allowed to ask the clerk directly? Just for the people in the room and the people who may be watching online, can you remind us of how long you have served as the county clerk?
15 years.
15 years. Okay, thank you so much. I'm going to first start, I'm kind of looking through the document, and of course I've watched the video from Finance Committee, wasn't there myself. I'm going to work through a couple of different areas. But the first one is really the question about the salary overages and staffing. And of course, I saw the letter that you provided to us expressing some explanation for that. But just to sort of say, to look at the salary lines on page 52 of the packet, your office has exceeded your appropriation by roughly $138,000, so just shy of $139,000 across part-time salaries, overtime, and full-time salaries. And I understand that the office experienced some staffing shortages, but I would say is that your department does not operate in a vacuum, in the sense that you do have county HR and administration to help you address some staffing shortages. So I wanted to ask you whether you engage with those offices at all about overruns or about staffing issues in your department.
No, we did not.
As I say, you are not operating in a vacuum, and I would hope that we might encourage you to do that in the future, because, I mean, I do start to worry about how many overage hours individuals were taking on. That leads to burnout, which can lead to more problems with absences in the office and reduced staff time. So I just would hope that we could do that. I'd like to move on to the postage increase. So the postage line shows an overage of $51,000. Is this increase related to the mailings required for the Olympia and Ridgeview School District levy?
Yes, and I also listed the other reasons for the increase in postage as well, but that was largely the reason.
Okay, was that in the letter? Forgive me, because I was going to ask how much of that is to do with that. So that's in the letter that you sent?
Yes, those had to be sent, not first class, but what were they?
Certified,
Pardon?
certified
Yeah.
mail.
Yes, those all had to be by statute sent by certified mail, so it was quite a cost.
So they went to, what, the voters in those districts? Is that
About 7,000 parcel owners.
parcel owners? Okay. Okay, anybody else? Okay. So I'll move on then to the non-contractual services. So the line for non-contractual services increased by $150,000 even, which is a fairly large, it's more than the original budgeted amount, and it's an unusually round number. As a historian, I get nervous about round numbers. That always makes me unsettled. Just for transparency's sake, can we break down a little bit what those specific expenses were? I see that in a very recent email that you sent at least one invoice for $54,000 some, but can you talk to me a little bit about, like, is that one or a couple of large expenses? Are there many, many expenses that led up to that? And why is it $150,000 even? Like, what's behind the even number?
Well, I don't know why it's even, but those invoices were all included in your package of information that I sent.
So
most of them
just to
were.
correct you, were not included in our package.
Oh,
And
I
this is-
apologize.
And let me, if I could finish, just to say that, what is available to me as a board member is not necessarily available to the public. So it's
Gotcha.
part of the reason
So we
why I'm
can get
asking.
those, we'll certainly get those to you, so you can have them for review. And they weren't expected, and this is a unique year, as I mentioned, in finance, and I don't expect that we will see this a year. I can't promise, but we don't
Right.
expect this to happen again with these overages. And I will add one more thing. Because of the new equipment and the new software, we do expect to see, and we will provide a report, because we all talked about better communication between all our departments. I don't want to get too excited, but because of all these expenses that we needed to have for our equipment and software, we expect that it will be $150,000 a year savings in elections, including, maybe not this year, it might just be 50 or 60,000 in savings, but in the years to come, because of the extra software upgrades that we needed.
So is some of this $150,000 software related? Are these software purchases? I just,
Was that
you kind
software,
of give
or
me a
was that the
sense
nine-
about.
That one isn't the 150,000, I apologize, that was in the $91,000 line. But this was other election items that we needed. And we
So-
don't expect to have those again.
So the $150,000 all went to election running, not any of the other parts of your
As far
department?
as I understand. Pardon? Yeah, and it was elections, yes,
All elections, and these were non-contractual?
that's correct.
Okay, that's the reason why the 0 stresses me. Receipts don't usually come in, contracts come in as solid numbers. Receipts often don't, so I'm a little suspicious of the round number because that,
Well, we got that number from administration, so we can provide the invoices, I guess,
Yeah,
and
I
perhaps
think-
they all add up to that.
yeah. Okay, last question. You kind of anticipated it, but I have a slightly different question, is that, the poll pads at $91,000, I understand that that's an election-related expense, in addition to the $150,000, which were election-related. In the Finance Committee meeting, you mentioned that the line item was set at 0 by administration. Did you ask administration during the budgeting process for more funds and were told no?
No, we've never asked about it, quite honestly. as
So
to
it's
why it
been
was
said-
zero, and that's going to be one of the things in our meeting this week that we have, that we're going to ask, should we change that? Why is it zero? And should we make that more clear? I
This
can-
is, yeah,
I can't answer that question.
So the $91,000 for pole pads was a completely unanticipated, can you explain that? Where did the need for $91,000 out of nowhere come from?
And if you haven't met Mark Singer, he's the
Sure.
director of our elections, and this is Jeanette Mead, our chief deputy.
I'll have to get back to you on the numbers on the 91,000. I don't believe that is the entire pole pad. And it was software. So the software that runs our electronic pole pad, Valid Voter, was decommissioned. It is no longer in service by the vendor. And pole pad is the new program that runs our electronic pole pad. Check-in, I guess I should say, electronic poll book, and that is our software license. So basically, the Valid Voter had decommissioned. Poll Pad is the new program that runs it. So it was just a new program to a new or old program to a new program. If
So-
that makes sense a little bit.
Oh,
Upward,
Your mic.
software upgrade, I guess. Because of the software being decommissioned, we had no software, and that was the software replacement that the vendor has given us.
Okay, so just for my point of clarification, from a budgetary sort of process, so you were unaware that the old software was going to be decommissioned? This wasn't announced? There was no, I got an email a year in advance that my router was going to go out of service, so.
We knew about it in the end of 2024, right after the general election. And then it was way too close to the April 1st election to introduce a new poll pad, especially something's radically changing it. So we held off for that program for us to use. Does that make sense? Trying to
Yeah.
make that sense.
No, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I'm sure some of my colleagues may have other comments. I suppose the concern is that your budget is more than $400,000 over for your department, right? Which is a really big overage. I mean, every department has some overage without any conversation at all with oversight committee. And I understand to some extent not everything has to be cleared. But this process, I appreciate the desire to do more communication, but I think it's more than that. I think spending a $91,000, that's what you have on the budget line, so all I can go is what was provided to me, and maybe if it was more than that or less than that, I don't know. To essentially encumber $91,000 from the county's budget and assume that the county's going to cover it, that's a big assumption, right? That's a big assumption, and I think we can talk about small amounts here and there, and we get this with our budgets. We do oversight for transportation and land use in my committee, and when somebody goes $400,000 over their budget, we ask questions about that, and so I find it a little worrying that this overage is such that it is, and there hasn't been any conversation with the finance committee up until this point. And I think, again, this is taxpayer money, and so kind of spending large amounts of money like that without any kind of discussion. And Clerk Michaels, you said in the meeting, in your emails, I swear this is all necessary and important. Nobody's saying it's not necessary or important, but if it's necessary and important, it still should be presented to the finance committee to say, hey, this is necessary and important, and the committee would say, we agree with you, it's necessary and important, we can spend the money. But it's a sort of autonomy thing, acting as though somehow the money's magically going to fall from the tree, and just take your word for it that it's okay. That's a problem in terms of oversight and transparency, right? And so from my point of view, I still have a lot of questions about this, and I don't know where my colleagues are, but I appreciate you answering the questions so far.
Comments or questions? Member Byrne?
Thank you. I echo Chair Klein's concerns and questions. I'm particularly anxious to see some of these reports that we're going to be seeing, and I'm looking forward to taking a look at those and squaring those with what we've got. I did want to address one of the things that you brought up in the Finance Committee meeting. You described having difficulty filling positions, losing staff. You said the other day it was amazing that we could even get someone hired for a particular position. You described walking around the office asking, does anybody want to be tax administrator? I mean, obviously, this is not an ideal situation. I'm curious about the retention in the county clerk's office. I feel like a picture has been painted that it's increasingly difficult to keep staff and to hire new staff. You've mentioned a need for additional staff, which we can certainly discuss, but if we can't get any applicants and we can't keep staff, then that becomes the more pressing issue. What can we do as a board to support improvement of the workplace culture and improve staff retention?
Well, we don't have a high turnover. This was a unique situation, which I mentioned, very unique. And again, we don't perceive, you can't predict the future, but we don't perceive things like this happening as it did in 2025. And, but we don't have a high turnover in our office. So again, look at the past years and the years to come. We will project an increase in our income with elections, and you'll see that to come as well. And we'll always work toward that. Again, if you look at all the years in the past, 2025 was a unique year, and I agree with you totally that there needs to be better communication with all our departments. Absolutely agree with that. I was surprised of the overage as well, and that's on me. And I think with this new ERP program, it's perfect that you're going to help us, and we can help you keep an eye on those numbers, which is wonderful, and we really look forward to that, where we can then come, and it'll come to our attention sooner rather than a few months later, and oh my gosh, we didn't realize we were that much over. And it will hold us to the feet to the fire too, because this new program is going to let us all know. And then, as I understand it, we come to you and say, we've got to have this, and here's why. And is it my understanding then that you would approve that or disapprove it, correct, if we're going over budget?
So part of the process, and we see this every month, and all of our committee meetings is when things come up. I mean, nobody on this committee expects that setting a budget means that unexpected things are not going to happen. We know that they happen. We approve them regularly. They come to us, and part of it is with the more recent structure is having the memos explaining, like, here's the situation, here's what happened, here's the amount, here's what it will do for us. When we talk about communication, that's absolutely what we're looking for, because we are here to be this, to safeguard taxpayer dollars and to have a paper trail. Where is the money? What's it being used for? Where's it going? And I would say that, kind of looking back over the past couple of years, we've had multiple overages from your department that I want to see cleaned up. I want to see that communication going forward. And I'd like to see it even in the present. In 2020, the 2023 budget was over by about $95,000. Last year, the total cleanup was $386,000, and then this year we're over the $400,000. And so to the point where last year we actually adjusted our budget policy to explain to department heads that the communication is essential. We can't have these kind of overages without some sort of communication and awareness of what's happening. And so the budget amendment was not successful like we wanted it to be. The ERP is going to put some of the guardrails on that we're looking for, because this cleanup process is really just for final adjustments, not for kind of major changes to the budget here. And so I'm hoping that we'll be able to make the adjustments that are necessary.
Yeah, totally agree with you, and that's why we really look forward to our meeting this week too, to really start that more in-depth clarification for us. So we appreciate it.
Member Lehman, did you want to follow up?
Yes, if I could, please. So thank you for your candor. And just to two-part, just to go off of what the chair was saying, this is part of our role as oversight. Each of us supervises a committee, and our department heads can't necessarily come to us and say, well, we really need it, so I just went ahead and bought it without any approval. If we did that, then we'd be in a much worse position than we are now. So we do take our roles as overseers of the taxpayer funds very seriously. And when we see that there is extra taxpayers' funds that are being spent seemingly without the supporting documentation and without going through the correct procedure, then we get called on that, as we should. And so this is part of our role as being in that spot, and we are following up on that. So we appreciate your candor and your assistance in providing us with the recommended documentation. I did want to circle back to my question and address the workplace culture. There is difficulty in hiring new positions, is that correct?
Not always. In this particular one, there was tremendous difficulty.
So in the 3 positions, you mentioned needing 3 additional full-time positions. Assuming that is approved, do you anticipate getting sufficient applicants to be able to fill those positions with a cloud?
Well, we'll see. You know, it's just like for this one, you never know. Our recording division has run, is trying to get a full-time position filled and has had 4 applicants. When we put out for tax administrator, we had 0 applicants. And of course, every job is important. But you can imagine we were coming right up onto the tax season as well and could not get anybody that applied.
Oh,
So
I
that
hear
was
you,
a
and
kind
I-
of a unique situation.
Right, and I understand that, and that is, and we would like to work with you to solve that problem and come up with
Absolutely,
solutions.
thank you.
But there is a difference in one department gets 4 applicants for a position and another department gets 0, and that feels like there may be some mitigating circumstances that we would like to help address and improve so we can get some more folks in there.
Thank you.
So as you're aware of whatever things that we can do to assist with that and improve that and make your jobs easier, we would very much like to help with that.
Appreciate it.
Other comments, questions? Member Lehman.
Thank you. I do have a couple questions that I just wanted some follow-up on based on what we've already been chatting about. So you had mentioned that with the position that was really hard to fill, the one that you had to connect with other folks in the office and just to ask if anybody present would be interested in the role. And you said that you hadn't gone to administration or HR for assistance. Have you worked with administration and HR before? Is that a regular process? Is that something that you know is available to you, that if you have trouble, that administration and the HR department specifically can help boost some of those sourcing needs?
No, after 15 years, no, I did not know that.
Okay.
I think because for all of our years, we haven't had this particular issue. So I didn't
Sure.
think, let me run up to, I'm kind of
Yeah.
made that way anyway, as you might notice, to run up and ask for help, not thinking that that was part of your role. And so this, we really appreciate to know that you can help us when we don't get an applicant, and you might come up with a wonderful suggestion for us, and we're going to move forward with that, and we really appreciate knowing that.
Great. Yeah, I don't know all the particulars of it, but I have been a part of other conversations and hearing from the great work that the HR team has done in aiding departments or being willing to aid departments that are having sourcing issues, because certainly it's got to be difficult to be down a person and then also try to find the right person to fill that role. So
And it helps
glad that-
we assume and this is no blame on anybody, we assume everybody knows everything and everybody's role. So if you hear of something, county clerk really needs a position, feel free to pick up, I'm losing my voice from elections today, to say, remember Kathy, we're here. It's not your role, but it won't hurt to say, we might be able to help you find something, did you remember, and that just helps us. It seems silly, and everything, but we need that, we appreciate it. The same way, if you needed something, you can always come to us, even though that might not be our role, and say, can you help us with that? And again, it just goes back to communication. If everybody can just tell people what they might need, somebody might be able to help.
I think it certainly does go both ways, right? And knowing that you can always reach out and let us know in committee, and also reaching out to your HR department for any assistance that might be available. Am I misspeaking that in the role with HR? Okay, thank you for the clarity there. And then the other piece I wanted to follow up on is you just mentioned that you were surprised with the overtime overage, like when you saw the budgetary cleanup part come up. So I'm just curious, as a department head, What does the payroll approval process look like? Or what does it look like for you to, who signs off on payroll, who submits it? What does that look like that you might not have awareness?
I sign off on everything. When and I say that by, what that means is I'm responsible for everything. You know, it's on me, the buck stops with me. So if there's a question about payroll, you know, it has my stamp on it and my name on it. When I said I was surprised, it was because of just, that's how monumental learning that job was. So it wasn't like I was shocked or anything, but that this gentleman has put in, and we can all attest to it here. Anytime I was working on Saturday and Sunday, he was there working. And we have a pretty strict way of documenting things like that. And just very proud of him that he was able to fill that role. But yeah, and as I think I mentioned in finance, this should be, or to Kathy Dreyer, I think she asked me the same question a couple of weeks ago. It's, this should be the end of his training and learning experience. Once we get through, this is the first tax cycle we've gotten through with this gentleman. And so we don't perceive those overtime amounts to be that high. Again, can't promise, but this was a very unique situation.
At least speaking from the finance perspective, I would hope that moving forward, if there are situations that we are expecting a large amount of overtime, something like that, that there can be conversations that take place to maybe have some mitigation. Maybe there's some external training that can come in. Maybe there's someone else from another office that has expertise. I'm sure we can be rather creative to make sure that an individual isn't working extreme overtime.
Thanks, and we mentioned that in finance too, that again, that communication was the key, and we'll be certainly doing a lot more than that. For this gentleman as well, we did reach out to the treasurer's office, and they were a huge help to us. And I reached out not to others that I know now that I can and should have known that. You know, we called in county clerks from other counties and told them of our situation, and they knew how serious it was because we were in tax season. They came down and worked for free to come and help train this gentleman. So that's the kind of outreach we had with our group, and now we will expand and know to reach out to you more.
Just a final curiosity, with the new ERP system, will department heads still be signing off on potential labor overages? Is that a part of the process?
I believe so, yes.
So that would be something that in the future, if there is a situation, that you would be aware of it and able to present it to us, probably even easier now, right?
Oh, and I think the other thing that we both agreed upon in finance and had the same thought, again, goes back to communication. We plan now to, can't promise that it'll be monthly, but I think department heads to give you, every time we get something now, we don't think to just immediately tell you, and we will do that now. And if it's too many emails, we all know we can just hit the delete button. But it's like, oh my gosh, you know, all of our equipment just broke down and we've got to spend $300,000. We will now let you know the minute we get that email instead of waiting to the end of the year or, you know, 6 months later, so there aren't those surprises. So every time we hear something now, we're just going to let you know. And that's if we get a grant for $400,000 or something like that too, rather than wait even 6 months. You know, every time we hear something, we're going to let you know. And that way there should be no surprises at the end of the year.
Appreciated on my end, at least.
Thank you. Member Fagan.
Yes, thank you, Chair. One thing that really kind of gnaws at me is a recurring theme is you can't predict the future. We get that, okay? In 2024, you were informed that this system you were using was not going to be supported anymore and that you're going to have to get a new one. And you said you didn't get a new one until after the election, April 1st. I understand that, okay? That's a wide period of time to say, hey, this isn't going to be supported anymore. We need a new system, instead of coming this year and saying, nope, we spent $91,000. We had to. That doesn't jive with me. I mean, you had a heads up on this, and nobody knew about it.
Well, we
In
had a
2024,
right, brief heads up about it, and we put it through, and in the future, the minute we hear of something, we'll let you know if that helps. What was that? Oh, yeah, the budget was already done also, when we got that news, I believe, so. Anyway, we're going to improve so you have no more surprises.
Okay, Vice Chair Rogel?
Yeah, just a couple things. I got off work and had a whole bunch of emails, so you sent us a lot of information, and the 40 minutes I had before the meeting started, I tried to sort through as much of it as possible, and I'm not a budget person by any means, but, so I got a couple questions on here. One of the emails that we were sent had some invoices in it, and one of them was to GBS, Governmental Business Systems, it looks like for $69,887.50. I assume that's included in probably software or something within the allocation that you're requesting. And so I'm just going to assume that. I don't necessarily care where it's at in there. But part of the email is, on the invoice is an email that between Mr. Senger and the State Board of Elections that says that all of it would be covered by a grant. So my question is, did we not get the grant? Did they discontinue the grant? Or what went on there?
At that grant period, that was, in the beginning of the grant period, that was not going to be covered fully. In fact, it wasn't going to be covered at all. And in January, mid-January, we got notification from the State Board of Elections that it is now going to be fully covered. But we didn't have the money in the budget. It was not budgeted for it. So in order to make that such a large purchase, we would have to have that money in the budget in order to get the grant. So we spend the money first, and then we get our money back once the state approves. At that time, again, like I said, we did not have that money in the budget.
Okay, so you said in January, it wasn't in, we didn't put it in the budget okay. But the email from the state board is from May of '25.
We put in the amount that we had left in the budget in order to cover what we were going to expend. So it's not the full amount, because again, we didn't have the money in the budget, plus we weren't fully guaranteed because of the amount of the overages for the grant. Okay, so if I believe we were rewarded I think $130,000 for that year for the grant for IVRS. Please don't quote me on that. I don't have those figures in front of me. So throughout the IVRS grant, that covers voter registration, licensing, postage for vote by mail, not vote by mail, I'm sorry, the purge. So we have to, every 2 years, we have to send out voter cards to all the registered voters in McLean County. So that covers that. So that money is quickly used up for those particular services that we have to do. And we only have so much left for what we can use in the grant. So once that grant, let's just say if there was only, I believe there was only $60,000, maybe $70,000 left, we could put in for over the grant, but we can't be guaranteed that we're going to get that full money back. So in the beginning of the year, if we knew that the State Board of the Elections were going to cover this in full, we would have budgeted for it. At the time of the grant, when it first came out earlier in 25 or 24, at that time, it was not fully covered. So again, we would never have known the budget for that. I hope I broke that down a little bit better.
So it was more than what, this expended beyond what the grant allotment was. It would have been covered if it had been included, but it wasn't, so it didn't, that's what I'm getting at. It didn't, the money we got for the grant didn't cover this portion of it, even though it could have if you knew.
Correct,
In advance.
and here's the other gamble, and I don't mean to interrupt you, Mr. Rogel. If we put in for that money, and it was over the allowed grant money that was awarded to us from the State Board of Elections, there is a extremely good chance that we would have got it back from all the extra monies throughout the counties or from the federal government gave to the state of Illinois. If other counties didn't use all of their IVRS grant, like we did in that year and previous years, we would have gotten that extra money to cover that grant, cover those expenditures. But we're not guaranteed that. That's the gamble, I should say. Hate to say it that way, but that's what it is. So if we would have put in for it, it would have been quite possible that we would have gotten it, but we don't know because we never put it in.
Yes, I think we're both on the same page. I think I understand what you're saying, and I think I get it, so,
Thank you, Chair.
thanks.
Any other comments or questions? Member Hanson.
One of the things that I keep hearing tonight is moving forward, communication will improve. Moving forward, we will have greater transparency between departments. But what I haven't really fully heard yet is the plan for communication to improve. It's easy to say communication will be better, but what assurances do we have that moving forward, there will be more transparency?
You have my word, we talked about it in finance, that you'll see ad nauseum probably. Once a month if I have time. Nothing happened, here we go, everything looks good. And if it's every 3 months, I'm sure we can pretty much swear to every 3 months of alerts. But again, the ERP program is going to really help us as well. But as I've mentioned, as best that we can, you have other people here besides me, very honorable people, will help us keep our word to keep you posted every month if we need to, if something has appeared that we were not expecting. And I think every department probably does that or should do that as well.
Thank you.
So what I would like to say is that the number of expenses, the size of the expenses that we're being asked to cover tonight, every other department has taken the opportunity throughout the year to bring us the amendments, to give us the memos, to give us the background and the information. And so when we're talking about creating some sense and a process, I'd really like to give you the opportunity to take that with this and to go back and to do the same process out of the departments do every month when they have to make an adjustment. And so that would be what I would be looking for as far as how do we correct and how do we create, more importantly, on behalf of the taxpayers, how do we create that paper trail so that they can easily follow the money, follow where it went. So I think that that's what I would be looking for as far as like how do we make some corrective action on this particular item. Member Klein?
I'd like to make a motion to table this item. There's some other things that are expressed in the emails that caused me to be a little bit confused about what the actual numbers are. There's an expression of the actual amounts expended is different than what's actually on our budget amendment. So I think we need to table this and figure that out in addition to that communication process. So that is my motion to table this. And the date certain would be next month,
Next Finance Committee?
next Finance Committee.
Yes. We have a second? Member Byrne? Any comments or questions about tabling for 1 month? Okay. All in favor of the motion to table, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. So that will give you the opportunity to go ahead and start that communication process and make sure that we understand fully where the expenditures have gone and how that is serving the people of McLean County.
Absolutely, and that's why I think our meeting next week will be a big help as well. So thank you.
Excellent, thank you. All right, well, we will move on. I will turn it back over to Finance Chair Lehman.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. The Finance Committee has another item, 5B1B, the request approval of an ordinance of the McLean County Board amending the 2025 Combined Annual Budget and Appropriation Ordinance, and I so move.
Thank you. May I have a second? Second by Member Hanson. Comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor of 5B1B, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. And turn back to you.
5B1C is the request approval of an ordinance of the McLean County Board amending the 2026 Combined Annual Budget and Appropriation Ordinance, and I so move.
Thank you. May I have a second? Second by Vice Chair Rogel. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor of item 5B1C, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. And last item?
5B1D is the request approval of a resolution transferring monies from County General Fund 0001 to the Nursing Home Fund 0401, fiscal year 2026, and I so move.
Thank you. May I have a second? Second by Member Byrne. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor of 5B1D, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. All right.
The Finance Committee has 3 items to be presented before the board, and I'm happy to answer any additional questions.
Thank you so much. We will move on to item 5C, that is Health Committee with Chair Byrne.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Health Committee brings 4 items for action tonight to Executive Committee. Item 5C1A, request approval of an emergency appropriation ordinance amending the McLean County fiscal year 25 combined annual appropriation budget ordinance for Fund 0105, the Health Department. And I so move.
Thank you. May I have a second? Second by Member Hanson. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor of item 5C1A, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you. Item 5C1B, request approval of an emergency appropriation ordinance amending the McLean County fiscal year 25 combined annual appropriation and budget ordinance for Fund 0107, also the Health Department, and I so move.
Thank you. May I have a second? Second by Member Klein. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor of item 5C1B, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Item 5C1C, request approval of an emergency appropriation ordinance amending the McLean County fiscal year 2025 combined annual appropriation and budget ordinance for Fund 0401 at the nursing home, and I so move.
Thank you. May I have a second? Second by Member Hanson. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor of item 5C1C, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Moving on, 5C1D, request approval of an emergency appropriation ordinance amending the McLean County fiscal year 2026 combined annual appropriation and budget ordinance for Fund 0401, also the nursing home, and I so move.
Thank you. May I have a second? Second by Rogel. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor of item 5C1D, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Health Department, or Health Committee brings 1 item to action for the board. I would like to thank Vice Chair Hanson for running the Health Committee meeting this week. Between the two of us, we can answer any questions that we have.
Thank you so much. Moving on to item 5D, Justice Committee. I'll turn it over to Vice Chair Rogel.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have 6 items to be presented for action tonight. First one up is 5D1A, which is a request approval of an emergency appropriation ordinance amending the McLean County fiscal year 2025 combined annual appropriation and budget ordinance for the state's attorney's office in the general fund, and I so move.
Thank you. May I have a second? Second by Adam Reeves. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor of item 5D1A, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Next up, we have 5D1B, which is request approval of an emergency appropriation ordinance amending the McLean County fiscal year 2025 combined annual appropriation and budget ordinance for the coroner in the general fund, and I so move.
Thank you. May I have a second? Also by Member Reeves. First to the plate on that one. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor of item 5D1B, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Next up, we have 5D1C, which is request approval of an emergency appropriation ordinance amending the McLean County fiscal year 2025 combined annual appropriation and budget ordinance for the sheriff in the general fund, and I so move.
Thank you. May I have a second? Second by Member Hanson. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor of item 5D1C, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Next up is 5D1D, request approval of an emergency appropriation ordinance amending the McLean County fiscal year 2026 combined annual appropriation budget ordinance for the sheriff's department for doors, and I so move.
Thank you. May I have a second? Second by Member Byrne. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor of item 5D1D, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Next up is 5D1E, request approval of an emergency appropriation ordinance amending the McLean County fiscal year 2026 combined annual appropriation and budget ordinance for the sheriff's department for lighting, and I so move.
Thank you. May I have a second? Second by Adam Reeves. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor of item 5D1E, say aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
And last item for action is 5D1F, request approval of an emergency appropriation ordinance amending the McLean County fiscal year 2025 combined annual appropriation and budget ordinance for the public defender in the general fund, and I so move.
Thank you. May I have a second? Second by, sorry, you guys are neglected on my left side here. Second by Member Fagan. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor of item 5D1F, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
The Justice Committee has no other items to be presented for action. We'll have 4 items be presented to the board, one of which is a 10-year agreement with Axon Enterprise. If you are interested, you should take a look at that. It will greatly enhance the Sheriff's Department protection for our guards, for inmates, for everyone involved. So if you get a chance, take a look at that.
It is absolutely an investment.
Yes. If anybody has any questions, I can answer them.
Thank you so much. Any questions? All right, moving on to item 5E, land use and transportation with Member Klein.
Thank you so much, Chair Johnston. You'll be relieved to know we have no items for action this afternoon. I would point out, though, we have a lot of items for action on Thursday, and not listed on your packet is the approval of new text amendment for our zoning rules having to do with data centers, which is going to make itself to us as a board on Thursday. And if anyone has any questions about that, I'm more than happy. I'm sure Member Reeves and Member Rogallen are more than happy to talk to anybody. Anyways,
That'd be a no. All
happy
right.
to answer any questions.
Any questions for Member Klein? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to 5F, and that is property with Property Chair Lehman.
Thank you again, Chair Johnston. 5F1A is a request approval of an emergency appropriation ordinance amending the McLean County fiscal year 2025 combined annual appropriation and budget ordinance, and I so move.
Thank you. May I have a second? Second by Member Fagan. New Vice Chair. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor of 5F1A, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
The Property Committee has no other items to be presented for action. We do have an item to go before the board, and a thank you to Vice Chair Fagan, who ran the property meeting this past week.
Thank you so much. All right, moving on to item 5G, report of the County Administrator, Ms. Taylor. You have quite a few items.
I do. So the first item I present for action is request approval of an emergency appropriation ordinance amending the McLean County fiscal year 2026 combined annual appropriation and budget for the general fund and the nursing home fund.
May I have a motion? Motion by Hanson and a second? Second by Byrne.
This is a contingency that has been presented at both Health Committee and the Finance Committee previously.
Correct, thank you. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor of item 5G1A, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you. Next, I have G1B, request approval of an emergency appropriation ordinance amending the McLean County fiscal year 2026 combined annual appropriation and budget ordinance for Fund 0007.
Thank you. May I have a motion? Motion by Klein and a second by Rogel. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor of 5G1B, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you. Next, G1C is request approval of an emergency appropriation ordinance amending the McLean County fiscal year 2025 combined annual appropriation and budget ordinance for administration.
All right, may I have a motion? Motion by Lehman and a second. Second by Hanson. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor of item 5G1C, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you. Next up, G1D, request approval of an emergency appropriation ordinance amending the McLean County fiscal year 2025 combined annual appropriation and budget ordinance for Fund 0001 County Board.
May I have a motion? Motion by Byrne and a second by Fagan. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor of 5G1D, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you. G1E, request approval of an emergency appropriation ordinance amending the McLean County fiscal year 2026 combined annual appropriation and budget ordinance for Fund 0163, which is the ARPA fund.
Thank you. A motion by Lehman and a second by Rogel. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor of item 5G1E, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you. With the permission of the committee, I'd like to combine F, G, and H.
Any objections? I see a enthusiastic acceptance.
Okay. All three of these items for action are related to our opioid allocation fund. So I have F, request approval of an intergovernmental agreement between McLean County and McLean County Area EMS System for allocation of funds via the Illinois Opioid Allocation Agreement. The next is G, request approval of an intergovernmental agreement with Bloomington Township Fire Protection Districts in McLean County. And H is request approval of an intergovernmental agreement with Dale Township Fire Protection Districts in McLean County.
Thank you. May I have a motion? Motion by Byrne and a second by Klein. Any comments or questions? I'm grateful to see this money being put to good use for our rural first responders. All right. Seeing no other comments or questions, all in favor of item 5G1, F, G, and H, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you. I have
Motion
no other
passes.
items to present to the committee, and I do not have items for the board on Thursday.
All right, I'm going to open it up, then other business and communication for the good of the board, for the good of the county. Any other comments, questions, announcements? Yes, Member Lehman.
Yeah, if I can go back to say something I probably should have shared during the course of finance. I just want to give the board a heads up that we will have an item in stand-up that would traditionally have come this evening. It's a appropriation ordinance for the Animal Services Department. So you will see that one come through full board, but was not here this evening because we didn't take it up at that time.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Yes, Member Byrne.
Thank you. As two of you know, we completed the One Voice trip to Washington, D.C. last week. We traveled out with about 20 other people and brought a badly needed proposal to our congressional partners. Just wanted to acknowledge how well that went, how grateful we are with all of the preparation that was done in advance of that, with the support of our partners at City of Bloomington, Town of Normal, organized labor, business, and just everybody. It was just a streamlined trip, and we were able to really communicate our needs very effectively, and we're feeling very optimistic about it. So Go team.
Thank you. I hope you'll bring that up at the full board meeting.
Oh,
because
indeed we
I'm-
will.
As much as I would love to think, I don't think everybody watches the executive committee.
I do have one more comment.
One more comment?
Yes, just a reminder that with Member Lehman's announcement of the stand-up meeting for her department, we will also need a stand-up for executive immediately following to take up that same amendment.
All right, other than that, just remind people that early voting is in full swing. We've got extended hours now that we are so close to the primary. So if you have not voted, please take time to make a plan, get to your polling place, and cast your vote. With that, this meeting is adjourned.